So, all that being said, I'm not even gonna sit here and pretend for even a second that I'm some kind of martyr for using the internet for good. Because I've used it for bad in the past, and I'm about to use it for bad right this second. Because there's something that has really been bothering me. So I went and saw that movie 1917 yesterday. Okay. Anybody who knows me on a personal level knows that I'm what people would call a movie snob. I'm a harsh critic. I do not watch movies in the same lens that your common person does. When I watch a movie, I'm watching everything about that production. I'm watching how it was filmed, how the acting was, the writing. Is the plot good? I'm watching it from every aspect that goes into the filmmaking process. I wanted to be a cinematographer growing up, for God's sakes. Did not have the money to make that happen. School for that costs a lot of money. So, when I watch a movie, it's much different than when regular person Joe watches a movie. So I went and saw 1917 yesterday. It's a World War One. I guess I would call it an epic. The plot of the movie is there are two soldiers who are tasked with crossing enemy lines to relay a message to like a platoon of like 1,600 soldiers that are about to carry out an attack the next morning against the enemy forces, but they're walking into a trap. So these two soldiers are tasked with crossing enemy lines to deliver the message to this troop: don't carry out the attack, it's gonna be a disaster. Now, the big thing going in the movie that I already knew was the guy who directed it, Sam Mendes. I believe it's Sam Mendes. I'm going to double check that because I might be screwing that up. But I'm pretty sure the guy's name was Sam Mendes. Yeah, Sam Mendes. He directed, and I believe he wrote the movie too, because he wrote it based on stories that his grandfather told him about his time in World War One. So, like, kind of loosely based on the kind of stuff, you know. But he made it a point that the movie was going to be shot in a way that, as you're watching the movie, it's as if the movie is all one singular take, which immediately got my cinephile boner hard as a rock. That kind of stuff to pull off in a movie is just, it's amazing. The last movie off the top of my head I remember did a really good job of that was Birdman with Michael Keaton. It seemed like the whole movie was filmed in one shot. It's not. It's brilliant movie editing, but you still have to set yourself out to do that. It's a whole process, and it's one that I really really respect. So I know that going into the movie, I know it's going to be a World War One movie, which I have not seen very many of those. We always jump back to World War Two for some reason. It's a pretty iconic war. I mean, they're both world wars. I think they're both iconic. So it was really refreshing to be able to see a story that took place in World War One. Uh, a theme, a time period that we don't see a lot in movies. So I went and saw this movie, and I personally have to say it was absolutely one of the single greatest movies I have ever seen in my life. It was a fantastic piece of cinema. I enjoyed it thoroughly. So then I come home, and then a couple hours later, I'm, scrolling through the old Facebook, and an ad for 1917 pops up, now playing in theaters, yada, yada, yada. And so I do the stupid thing, and I'm asking for it, and we all ask for this. I click on the comments section because I want to see what people are saying about this movie that I just went and watched that I just thought was fantastic. It's the internet. Not everybody has the same opinions. I understand that. But boy, did some of these comments really bother me. The first and foremost comment about people who did not like the movie. Oh, it was boring. I expected more action in a war movie. That's number one. Man, that pisses me off. At no point in time did anybody ever say that the movie was going to be your typical war movie. You know the plot of the movie. It's about two soldiers trying to cross over enemy territory to deliver a message. They're not trying to fight the entire goddamn Hun battalion. If you were tasked with crossing through enemy lines, you would probably go out of your way to, I don't know, not getting into any firefights. The movie is not about that. It's not supposed to be a Michael Bay explosion action fest. It's about the journey of two poor sods who have to walk through no man's land to deliver a message to save 1,600 people. So when I hear people say, oh, the movie was boring, you're missing the fucking point. You're missing the whole point of the movie. You're just missing it. You, in my opinion, your opinion's only valid because you're allowed to have an opinion. Your opinion is so wrong and you are so stupid that I wish to no longer talk to you about this topic. Actually, probably just don't want to talk to you at all. Because when someone, this particular movie, if somebody says, oh, the movie was boring, well, then you were clearly clocked out of the movie and you did not watch the movie and see everything else that went into it, what things that make it a great movie, the way it's filmed. It's the and I understand like the it's boring part because yes, there's some downtime moments in it, and I'm not gonna give anything away, but the way that the movie plays out, some things happen to these guys. God forbid if they are allowed to take 5 minutes to breathe. That's the boring downtime that they're talking about. God forbid they're allowed to take 5-minute breather. And it just aggravates me that, because as soon as I hear them say, oh, the movie was boring, well then, like I said, they're just clocked out of the entire experience. Because once the movie's boring, they're not appreciating anything else about it. And there is so much to be appreciated in this movie. Just the way it's filmed alone is just worth your time. I mean, it is. If you like movies, there's no way that you go to see this movie and you're like, sure, it was boring. Oh, it was kind of boring and I really liked the acting, but man, it was filmed brilliantly. No of the comments said that. There was no afterthought of that. It was just, oh, it was boring. I expected more action. End of sentence. I would be a little less pissed if they're like, oh, it was boring. I expected more action. But man, it was filmed really well. They just missed the entire point of the movie, and that drives me insane. You're just spitting in the face of everybody that was part of the production. Like, you just completely missed the point. And therefore, to me, if you completely miss the point by that much of a bar, your opinion is extremely invalid, and just shut the hell up. That's how I feel about it. And yeah, that seems a little harsh. And it is harsh. And I'm not denying that it's not harsh. Because it is harsh. But fuck those people. And I get it. A movie's supposed to entertain. It's supposed to be entertaining. If you're bored, you're bored. Not everybody looks at movies the way that I do. But I just think that it's just so unfair to a piece of cinema that You can't appreciate everything that went into it just because you were bored. You're watching movies the wrong way, is just how I feel. But like I said, I understand if it's boring, it's boring. It's got to be entertaining. But then again, not all movies are made for everybody. And that's just a fact. They're not. Everybody thinks The Hangover is one of the greatest comedy movies ever made. Is it funny? Yes. Do I think it's one of the greatest comedy movies ever made? No. If it was one of the greatest comedy movies ever made, they wouldn't have had to make three of them. It could have just stood alone on its own. But, that's just my opinion. Which is very counterproductive to everything that I just spouted off about, because there are going to be some people out there. I just said that, and they're going to think the same thing that I just thought about those people who had those things to say about 1970. They're going to think that I'm an idiot and that I don't appreciate comedy and I'm missing the big picture. And you know what? I'm okay with that, because we're all allowed to have our own opinions. But I haven't used the internet for evil today, so I just had to throw that out there. Everybody gets a turn to be a piece of shit. I'm real passionate about movies, and I just wish more people watched movies like I do. It's also a curse, it's a curse. I love movies. What I don't love is being a person who loves movies in today's world. But it's who I am, and I can't change it. And whenever I meet somebody, or I become friends with somebody, or I just have a 5-minute conversation with somebody who views movies the same way that I do, it makes it all worth it. Makes it all worth it. Well, I think that's enough rambling on for me for the day. I'm getting towards the end of this, so gonna have to go ahead and cut it out. But I do really want to say that if you've made it this far, or maybe you only made it 5 minutes in, but either way, if you found your way here, I really appreciate you taking your time to listen to an independent project that I decided to put the time into. I'm doing it for me more than anything else in the world, but if somebody else wants to listen to it, or if somebody listens to it and it generates talk, opinion, makes a laugh, anything like that, it makes it all worth it at the end of the day. It makes it worth doing. So, again, if you've made it this far, thank you very much. Thanks for sticking around with me. And we will catch you guys next time. Later.